Hi, I'm Alison Taafe, the Sassy Chef. Thanks for joining us. We're going to show you some delightful snacks that will sell in your tuck shop, and they are going to be healthy as well. So I'm going to make some smart choices today with the snacks that we're going to do. First of all, I'm going to make a fantastic muesli bar, which everybody will love. Utilising some oats and some seeds and cinnamon, some lovely flavours. And then I'm going to make some apple and sultana muffins as well, which are guaranteed success. My husband says he doesn't like muffins, but he loved those when I made them yesterday, so that's great. Also, I'm going to make some really good snacks like little Crudites, little sticks of vegetables, with a lovely tzatziki mint and yoghurt dip as well. So let's get cracking. I'm going to add 3 cups of dried rolled oats to my bowl. And in the same bowl, I'm going to add seeds. I've got sunflower seeds, and I've got pepita kernels, so pumpkin seeds as well, which make a really lovely crunchiness to this bar. There's going to be some cinnamon in there, so 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. You can put nutmeg in or allspice or whatever spice you have. Now, to get this all bound nicely, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of honey. Now, I've just softened that honey, so you can see how easy it is to just pour. So just pop the bottle into some boiling water, just let it stand. Or, if you're worried about it sticking to your jug, put boiling water in your jug first, fill it, tip it out, then put the honey in. The honey just falls straight out. So much easier. I've also got some olive oil, so 1/2 cup of olive oil going in there to bind as well. And vanilla. I'm using vanilla extract. It's much better than vanilla essence, which is kind of like a science class in a bottle when you use essence. You're not quite sure what's in there, but with extract you know what's in there. It's just pure vanilla. It's lovely. So pop a little bit of that in, about 1 teaspoon of extract. And then to bind all this together, which at the moment is probably not going to happen without the addition of some eggs, we're going to add some eggs to this. So 3 eggs going in. And I'm going to beat those eggs up a little bit first as well. Make sure you beat them up really well so that when you mix them through the muesli, you're not going to have great big lumps of egg white showing. This is just to bind the ingredients, so it moistens them and also helps the muesli bars to set so that they're nice and easy for you to cut up when you're going to sell them. So give this a nice beat. Make sure it's all beaten well and then add that into the same bowl. Very simple, this recipe. Very simple. So take a spoon and then just give that a really good mix and make sure that all the oats and all the seeds are completely covered with moisture, being the oil, the honey and the eggs. So once you get it like so, it smells nice. Oh, you can smell that lovely cinnamon in there. Really beautiful. All right, so easy, right? 5 minutes, not even. Take a bowl or a dish around about this size. You'll soon know when you push the muesli into the dish that it's going to need to be about probably 1.5 to 2 centimetres deep. So you don't want a great big long tray, make it too thin. So try and restrict it to a size around about like the one I'm using here. It's probably around about 30 centimetres by about, probably not even that, probably say 22 centimetres long by about 12 centimetres wide. That's just me guessing. Just push that in. And at the moment it's a bit sloppy, so what we need to do is pop that in the oven for around about 20 to 25 minutes. And the oven temperature needs to be quite low though, so we're only looking at 150 degrees Celsius. We don't really want that to colour, we just want it to set. So the eggs start to set, the coagulation happens around the oats, makes fantastic muesli bars. So I'm just going to pop that in the oven. The oven is preheated to 150 degrees Celsius. So these are out of the oven now. Just a little tip, when they're in the oven, just make sure they're not browning too much. You see a little bit around the edges, you can't help that because that's the honey caramelising. But realistically, this should come out almost the same as it goes in. The only difference is that it's set, you can feel it. When it's in the oven though, it's still a little bit soft because it's still warm. You have to make sure that you cool it down. So it's much better to make this early, stick it in the fridge so it can get firm before you cut it. So the idea is now, I'm going to use a serrated edge knife so that I can cut these muesli bars nice and straight. And I can saw down through those seeds as well. Now you can cut these in any sizes you want. Just depends on the size that you'd like to give and the price that you'd like to charge for it, really. Okay, so look, you can see that this stays together reasonably well, and it's like my mum used to make these, and we used to call them flapjacks in England, a little bit the same. So what I'm going to do is just pop that on the board. I'm going to cut that down into 2 pieces and just pop that on the plate so you can see how delightful they look. I'm going to take one of these little bars and I'm just going to pop that into some wrap paper. Let's take a little bit of the muesli bar out at the end as well if you wish. And you can tie that with a little bit of string, which makes it look quite nice as well. So, put that just up on there as well. So, a really lovely snack, really good. So, very easy. Take 5 minutes to make, 15-20 minutes in the oven. Make sure you make them in advance because you need to make sure they set. So, when you cut them up, you get some nice shapes out of them as well. That one's really easy. Next up, I'm going to do an apple and sultana muffin, which is guaranteed to be a crowd pleaser. Okay, so now on to our second snack, our healthy snacks. We're going to do some apple and sultana muffins. You're going to really love this one. It just takes one bowl, mix it up, put it in the oven, and everybody's going to love it. Okay, so let's get on with these muffins. We're going to take 125 grams of melted unsalted butter. Just melt it in the microwave or in a small pan. We're also going to add our milk, which is 200 ml of light skim milk, half a cup of raw sugar. Give that a little bit of a mix up first. And 1 egg. So basically all the wet ingredients go in together with the sugar first. Get that a little bit mixed up, make almost like a batter this recipe. So add your 1 extra large egg. The next stage is going to be adding flour, and I do add cinnamon to this too, so I normally put the cinnamon, I'll add a couple of spoons of cinnamon, normally mix it with the flour because I'm going to sieve the flour into this recipe. Sieving not only will get rid of the lumps, but it'll also aerate this recipe. We are using self-raising flour anyway, so we are going to get a nice light muffin. I'm going to add this half at a time, so add half first. This is where the whisk might come in handy, guys. You might find that whisking that in helps you to get a nice lump-free batter. Yep, so just gradually, so maybe into 2 or even in 3 goes. That way the cinnamon and the flour mix together nicely. So what you should have is a reasonably stiff batter at this stage. All right, now, right at the moment, this is just a base mixture. You can put anything into this mix. Any sort of dried fruit is appropriate, any fruit, anything you like. But today I'm choosing to use apples. Now, apples, Granny Smith apples are better, they're less sugar. If you're going to use a fresh apple, peel it, core it, cut it into quarters, core it, and cut it into nice, reasonable sized dice. And you might need a little bit of lemon juice on it if you're going to do this in advance, because otherwise it's going to go brown, which you probably already know. Or make it even easier, you can use canned apples, and they're pretty much already mushed up as well. They're supposed to be sliced, but in the can you notice that they are a little bit broken sometimes, which is great for this recipe. So I'm going to add those. You notice they've been drained, so don't put all the liquid in from the can as well and make these muffins too wet. I'm just going to add some sultanas, and now also this could be changed with dates or even raisins or even dried apricots, whatever you'd like. Pop those in as well. Then I suggest you change implements to stir this through at the end. So just stir that through. So careful not to break up the apple too much because it is a little bit soft. And you can see you've got almost just like a cake mixture here, which is lovely. So just mix that through, almost like fold it through really at the end. So the self-raising flour will make sure that these muffins are lovely and light. And as you can see, I've got some I made earlier. They're just beautiful. And they're really moist as well. And that's because of the apple that's in them. It keeps its moisture nicely. You can use a variety of little cupcake, little patty moulds. I chose green ones because it matches the apple, you know, I'm all for that. But I've also got these really lovely ones. Normally you see these in coffee shops. They look very glamorous. They really are just bits of paper folded up. You could make a fortune if you went into this business. You can pop those straight into the muffin trays. And you don't need to spray them, don't need to line them. So it makes it so much easier. It helps with the washing up as well. You can buy brown ones and you can also buy white. But if all else fails, how about just using the good old-fashioned little cupcake cups, just like so. I'll do a couple like that just so you can see the difference. All right, now, when you're going to use this mix, I would suggest 2 spoons. And I would suggest going quite slowly because especially if you get the mixture up on the top of those muffin patty cases. So just take a spoon of the mix, drop it in over the centre, and then it allows you to do that so that you don't spill the muffin mix anywhere else. So spoon it off the other spoon, much easier. I'll show you in one of these shallow ones so you can see what I'm saying. That way, and that way you can control it more when it goes in. So 2 good spoonfuls in each one. So that's a good portion control as well as a help to get it into the dish. And what we're going to do is just make the tops a little bit crunchy. We're going to add a little bit of raw sugar, a little bit of cinnamon, and also I thought might put some oats on the top. It makes it look really earthy, gives us another nutrient in this dish as well, but also helps to make it crunchy on the top. We all love the tops of muffins. There's a television series on about people buying just muffin tops because no one's really interested in the bottom, they just like the top. So we're going to make the top really, really crunchy and very decadent, being healthy at the same time. Okay, now this mixture that I've given you here, this recipe, will make you 12 decent size apple and sultana muffins. Just while you're finishing off your little moulds here, just be mindful that you need to preheat your oven to around about 190 degrees Celsius. These need to go into a warmed oven and they take around about 15 to 20 minutes to cook. Oats on the top. You don't have to do this, you can just leave them as they are, but it does make it a little bit crunchier and gives it a little bit more interest. They look nice as well. A little bit of brown sugar, or not brown sugar, I mean raw sugar, I should say. And likewise, you don't have to do this, I just like to do it. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of cinnamon and just dust the tops with cinnamon as well. Beautiful. So you can't complain about the amount of work going into this one. It's like 5 minutes, it's one bowl, yes it's a whisk and a spoon, but that's it. You even don't have to wash up these muffin tins, you can just wipe them out, they're fine. So easy and healthy and beautiful at the same time. So I'm going to pop those in the oven and I'll be back soon. Okay, so we've got our lovely muffins out of the oven. They smell glorious, they're so nice. Who can resist a hot cake or muffin out of the oven? Now, just to make sure that they are cooked and give you a couple of little pointers, first thing to do is just press the centre of the cake and make sure it springs back up to the touch. So, in other words, the mixture in the centre of the cake is not still wet. If it was, your thumb would stay down, the thumbprint would stay down in the cake, it would still be wet inside, which is not good. Another thing you can do is take one out of the tray and with the skewer, a wooden skewer if you can, just pop that into the cake or the muffin and remove it, and it should be reasonably clean. If it's covered in wet, soggy mixture, chances are the cakes and muffins are still wet inside, which is what we want to try and avoid. So once you're happy that they're cooked, they're coloured nicely, not too dark, so around about 15 to 20 minutes, pop them onto a rack, because the reason we use the rack is that we want to make sure that the air is circulating underneath. If we leave them in the muffin trays, then they're going to get a little bit soggy, a little bit damp, a bit of condensation. So that's a good tip. Beautiful. So there's our apple and sultana muffins, ready to eat, looking great, and a nice healthy snack for your tuck shops. So now we're going to do our tzatziki and vegetable batons or vegetable crudites. Some people might say Crudites, but it's actually crudite, and it sounds better. It's all in the name. So we're going to do some batons of raw vegetables. I've got capsicum, cucumber, celery, and carrot to use. Then I'm going to use a natural yogurt, put some mint and lemon juice in and make a tzatziki with a bit of garlic. So these are really healthy snacks for your tuck shop. So what I was going to do is just cut up a little bit of vegetable. Got some nice celery there, some young celery on the inside. And I've got some carrots here that I'm going to cut into my batons. And what I want you to do is cut your strips of carrot first. Keep them nice and chunky. And what I do is cut down so that you have a base to cut on, and then therefore the carrot's not rolling all over the bench, which sometimes is difficult to cut, you see. Okay, so with this, now, sometimes with a cucumber it's nice to take the seeds out. Not everybody likes the seeds, so I normally just cut the seeds out a little bit and cut the strips. So I still leave the peel on, I don't peel it, that's still a little bit more nutrients there for us. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to leave the seeds in. I'm using a Lebanese cucumber so that it's a little bit sweeter. Alternately, you could use a continental cucumber, one of the larger ones. So you want a nice bite-sized piece to go in this dish. I'm just going to cut my batons of carrot as well. Try and keep them all the same length so they look nice and neat. And if you want to, you can pop a little bit of cherry tomato in these as well as a little crudite. It doesn't all have to be sticks. And you can also use some raw broccoli and raw cauliflower, which is also very nutritious. People might turn their nose up at eating raw cauliflower, but it's actually the best way to eat it. So cut it into smaller pieces for people. Okay, so we've got our carrots and our cucumber. I'm going to use a little bit of this celery here. And I'm just going to take the younger pieces of celery. It's not nice using the outside celery leaves and celery stalks because they can be a little bit tough to chew. So take a little bit of red capsicum, cut down each side allowing the seeds to fall out. And you might want to cut away a little bit of the centre pith as well, because it can be a little bit bitter. So this one you're restricted by the length of the capsicum, so you can't really change that too much. But if you have a big enough capsicum, it makes a decent sized crudite anyway. Let's take a little bit of green capsicum as well. So cut down each side when you're doing this, and it leaves the centre seeds in there, which is okay. If they fall out, just brush them away. Perfect. All right, so if you wanted to use a cup to put the crudites in, put the tzatziki at the bottom and build the crudites up, so every piece has a little bit on its bottom. Or you can use one of your normal plastic containers with a small container for the dip. It's entirely up to you, and also it depends on the type of packaging that you can get hold of. So I'm going to do it in both so that you can see the difference today. So I'm taking some natural yogurt. It's been unsweetened, just a natural thick set yogurt. And what I'm going to do is add a little bit of seasoning to this, tiny pinch of salt and some black pepper. And I'm going to chop a little bit of mint to go in this. So I've got some fresh mint ready to go here. I'm just going to give that a nice chop. So just gently, just nicely. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit chunky. Just a nice chop on that one. Pop that straight into the yogurt. Okay, so now we need to add a little bit of lemon juice as well. Just pour that in. And take a spoon and just mix it through. And of course you can check the seasoning and check that you've got enough mint in there as well. But yeah, you want it to be nice and colourful, nice and lively, flavour-wise. Now, have a little taste. Yeah, good. We also want to keep it nice and fresh, so not too much salt and pepper in there, not too overwhelming with flavour, and possibly a little bit more of the lemon. Now, the only other thing I would like to put in there is some garlic, some raw garlic. But if you think that's a little bit too strong, then you can leave it out. But I prefer to put a little bit of minced garlic through this as well, as a traditional tzatziki. The Greeks would be screaming at me now. They'd say it's always in there. It's basically a lemon and yogurt and garlic dip. So, yeah, it's pretty much always in there. But it's up to you what you prefer. So I'm just going to chop a little bit of fresh garlic. And, of course, you can use a garlic mincer, just a little garlic press if you wish. Entirely up to you, whatever's easiest and fastest for you. This time we need the garlic to go a little bit finer than before. There's nothing worse than getting a big chunk of raw garlic in your mouth. But the flavour of that through there just freshens it all up and gives it that lovely little taste as well. So, but it's entirely your choice. It depends whether you want to have garlic breath or not for the rest of the day, I suppose. So what we'd like to do is just pop a little bit of that into our little container. And you don't need to fill it up. You can just sort of like maybe put 2 spoons in there for one serve. Otherwise you'll end up with all yogurt being wasted. So you don't need too much. And in the cup, we're going to put a little bit at the bottom of the cup. Maybe just 2 spoons just like before. And then what I thought I'd do is just pop some of this veg into the cup. Keep some of the longer pieces up. And of course some of the cucumber. A really cool way of serving that. Okay, and in here I've got my carrots and my celery. Really lovely. And not very expensive. It's obviously nice to have a lot of vegetables and stuff, but it's also very easy to prepare. So save a little bit of time and have all the vegetables cut up in advance. Don't put them in water though. Don't leave them in water because they'll lose all their nutrients. Cut them up and use them straight away. Pop them into your container and then pop a lid on. You could even put a little bit of mint on there as a bit of a garnish just to freshen it all up. And I'm sure that when they see that in the tuck shop, they're probably going to buy it because a lot of kids these days love raw vegetables as opposed to cooked. Get some raw veggies into them with a nice dip and have a very healthy alternative in our tuck shops. So thanks very much, and don't forget all of these recipes are available on the Smart Choices website. Thank you. See you later.